President, I'd like to briefly speak on the Crown Legislation Amendment Bill of 2022. And I think, as we've heard from some of my colleagues here today, it's quite pleasing to come towards the end of this term with actually some positive work done in this area. And this bill acquits most of the recommendations of the Royal Commission into the Crown Casino. And many of you will recall that I raised the matter of the Crown Casino as a matter of public importance in this chamber. It was knocked out at the time, but I feel like I was absolutely vindicated by what happened after this. And certainly I'd like to commend, while I'm on my feet, Mr Andrew Wilkie in the Federal Parliament for the tireless work that he has done on exposing the criminal elements of not just Crown Casino, but as we're seeing play out, Star Casino in New South Wales. So among other things, this bill will strengthen anti-money laundering measures and implement mandatory pre-commitment and other gambling harm minimisation measures at the casino. And these are important reforms. And, you know, I know most of us have walked through the casino at some time. And, you know, while many people might be enjoying themselves, we see the many people who are not. And certainly as the chair of the Criminal Justice Inquiry, and even looking at the other justice inquiries that we've done over this term, be that spent convictions, or even the impact of incarcerated parents on children, we have seen the thread of gambling weaving its damaging and life-destroying path through so many of those people's lives that led them into our criminal justice system, that created circumstances of family violence at home, that led to ultimately and tragically loss of life. So these are important changes, but I think sadly there's also a missed opportunity. As the Alliance for Gambling Reform has indicated, and I know others have referred to the Alliance, while they're glad to see the government make every effort to legislate and meet the recommendations of the Crown Royal Commission before the election, it's absolutely critical that the government commit to mandatory pre-commitment on all poker machines statewide, not just at the casino. So while it troubles me that on one hand we are acknowledging the harms, and we are acknowledging that by accepting the recommendations of the Royal Commission and by putting forward this legislation today, we're failing to recognise that the vast majority of poker machine gambling is not happening at the casino. In fact, only 10% of pokies are located at the casino. The rest are in our electorates. The rest are in some of the most disadvantaged areas of our electorates. And I know Dr Ratnam and I in Northern Metropolitan, we carry a fair proportion of those poker machines in some of the poorest pockets of our electorate. Mandatory pre-commitment has the ability to reduce gambling harm by ensuring people set time and monetary limits and stick to them, and also ensures identity measures that will also prevent money laundering. If this happens at the casino, but not at other poker machine venues, well, it's a bit of a whack-a-mole project, isn't it? So we may reduce this harm, and we may reduce this happening at the casino, but it means that we may be seeing that crime and that harm be relocated to our pubs and clubs in our communities. And as we say, we know that gambling harm is not isolated to the casinos. Victoria just experienced the highest losses ever recorded in 1 month in July 2022. That was $270 million in our pubs and clubs. That's how much money went through our poker machines. And certainly it's why, This is not the first time that I've stood up and spoken about this. I've certainly put up amendments on this in this area, not just in this term but in the last term. It's why Reason has a long-standing policy to reduce the negative impacts of poker machines and promote responsible gambling. Do things like just simple things, reducing, making the maximum bet per spin $1, reducing maximum daily trading hours of poker machine venues and the density of poker machines per electorate, making transparent the lobbying activities of pokie providers and their influence on government, and engage in long-term planning to try and decouple the government from poker machine revenue. And I know it's not easy, but some of these actually are quite simple, and they are tools and measures that our communities have been crying out for, particularly those that have experienced firsthand, as many of us have, the harms of gambling addiction. This is the way we save lives and reduce the significant harms associated with gambling, and that, as I mentioned earlier, includes mental health, it includes suicide, it includes family violence, and it includes the incarceration of many of our citizens. Having made these points, it won't be surprising that I will be supporting Dr Ratnam's amendments here. Maybe more surprising that I'll also be supporting Dr Cummings' amendments here today. But for the same reasons that I spoke about last year in December, I won't be supporting Mr Davis's. Thank you.